Attention Bajoran workers. Quark has Cardassian security codes 1 through 7. Do not believe anything Garrick says about my posturing to impress Major Kira. And Jake Sisko saves the day again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, everybody.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 3, Episode 7, Civil Defense, directed by Reza Badiyi, written by Mike Crone. Do you remember Reza?
Yes, I do. Very nice guy. Good energy on the set. Well respected by the actors, yeah.
Great. And also, yeah, the elephant in the room is, dude, not only did Jake Sisko save the day, but Jake Sisko saved the day twice in one episode. Man, you are Gul Dukat's new rival. Like, it's you and it's Dukat versus Jake all the way to the end.
It's funny because as I was watching this episode and I see myself, my character working with O'Brien a lot, it made me think that if Jake had gone into Starfleet, he would more than likely be an engineer. It seems like they were like gearing him up to, like, you know, he knew all the conduits, he knew all the stuff. Well, he was like O'Brien's apprentice almost.
This is exactly what one of the big things that I came out with and wanted to talk about too. Might as well talk about it right now. Is that I mean, you could tell that they were grooming Jake to be the next Starfleet officer, you know, until they decided to make the big change that we talked with Robert Hewitt-Wolf about. But they were grooming you not only to be Starfleet, but specifically to be an engineer. You know, you were his apprentice, Chief's apprentice, you know, and it's very clear in this episode. And then you kind of trace it back. Every episode that has you with Chief, it's specifically apprenticing, being an apprentice of his, and about engineering stuff, this and that. It's really interesting to see where that would have gone, you know?
Yeah. And you know, it's great for me because one of the things I was reminded of in this episode is how fun it was to work with Colin Meaney, who is he's a real joy to work with. He's super talented as far as being ready to go when they start rolling camera.
Well, if he's such a joy, then don't call him Meanie. Sorry about that.
I'm not going to touch that. I won't touch that. But yeah, so I mean, that was what I gathered right away out of watching the beginning of this episode. It was clear to me that they were grooming me to be in the engineering branch of Starfleet, and it seems as though Jake was doing well because he was able to hold his own with the chief of engineering, right? He wasn't really being groomed by one of the lower level up-and-comers. I'm working alongside the chief, the top guy, and, you know, I'm getting firsthand experience on how to take stuff apart and put it back together.
Right. Nepotism. Chief's kissing up to the boss. He's like, see, look, I got your son here. Of course, it doesn't hurt that you are helping him presumably for free. So he's probably loving every second of it too. But
hand me that thing.
I can't help but think, what if they never made that decision to kind of flip the script, you know, and have Nog join Starfleet and have you become a writer? I mean, this is only the 3rd season, right? So that means presumably by the 5th season or so, you'd be going off to Starfleet, you know, Starfleet Academy. And then maybe you would be, you know, doing the thing that Nog was doing, which was doing the training on the station. Then you become, you know, an acting ensign and you are, you know, an engineer, or you don't go to Starfleet and you do what Rom ended up doing, which was Rom became like a station engineer. Because he's such a whiz with computers and whatnot. So anyway, these are the kind of things that as Star Trek fans we look at, and we can't help but think what would have happened had they not done that little flip. Would have been cool to see both timelines go off, you know, diverge there.
Yeah, and it seems like Jake always has that in his back pocket. I mean, once you learn that kind of level of stuff, that you don't really just forget about it. So it's just a skill set that he has in his back pocket, and I like the way that the interplay between Colin and Jake, and O'Brien and Jake. It's a good interplay,
right? And that's something that was kind of lost later on. Once they decide not to follow that anymore, then the relationship between Jake and Chief O'Brien kind of dissipated, but it would have been cool to have, Chief and his apprentice, and then Jake and his mentor go through the whole 7 seasons.
I think so. And I also right away heard some of the technobabble lines that we get in Star Trek. And I was thinking to myself, I think the first line that I delivered in this episode, something about subroutines to run the ore processor.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was done in a voiceover studio. I don't think that line was in the actual script. They might have added that. Yeah. You can tell because I can hear the difference in the pitch and sound between that shot, which doesn't have me on camera and just has me talking about subroutines. And then when they cut to me, I have a different tone and sound. And that was one of the hard things to match in post when you're doing the voiceover work, was the exact pitch and sound that you were delivering on the set. Right.
When I noticed that the most is in exterior shots on, movies or TV shows or whatever. And you can tell it's a windy day because the actor or actress's hair is kind of flying in the wind. So it's going to be ADR. Right there, you already know it's going to be ADR if there's hair fluttering around, right? And you watch them and they're talking to each other like 20 feet away. They're like, don't forget to pick up the power coupling, right? Or whatever it is. But then in the ADR, they're not matching that. They're like 20 feet away and they're like, don't forget to pick up the power coupling or what, whatever it is. Like you could tell it doesn't match like the physicality of the person's, like their veins popping out, their neck is strained. And it's
right.
It's tough. It's not an easy thing to match. And especially with the line you're saying, you weren't even matching what you did say on set. They're just completely putting you in cold.
Exactly. So here I am, and then it's it's a techno babble line. So that's like the combination of all of those factors put together. And so I noticed it right away. I said, okay, this is definitely done in ADR. They definitely added this line, and it's okay. It just stood out to me. The other thing that they do for those out there in the audience is that they actually add grunts and breaths and sighs.
I think I noticed one on you too.
Right, when I was crawling through that through the tunnel, you mean?
No, I didn't notice it there. I mean, I'm sure that was the case too. I noticed it when I can't remember, when the three of you were like, you had just done something or finished something or no, I think that's what it was. Like it didn't even make a dent when you guys were pushing that cart, and didn't even make a dent. And you kind of went like this, and it was like, you were like, ah. Now I didn't know if that was on set or if that was ADR,
Right. That one, I didn't hear that one specifically. I did hear the grunts inside of the, when I was crawling up the conduit to get to the hatch. Obviously, the sound is different inside of that little conduit, so they're going to do anything inside that conduit would be done voiceover work in post-production. Mm-hmm. So I remembered that. But I also remember crawling in that space, and I remember Colum saying that he laced the inside of that with spiders. and he knows how much I hate spiders.
But spiders love you.
Yeah, well, then he says, go ahead, go in there. And I remember really being terrified, actually crawling inside of that little thing, because I have claustrophobia in general. I'm not the best inside of closed spaces. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, when he added the spiders comment, there's no light in there, so I don't know what's inside that thing. But I just remember that's how much fun we were having, just kind of playfully,
wow,
stuck in that little room there.
Maybe you should call him Meanie then. By the way, guys, everybody at home, Cirroc and I are both fighting off sneezes right now. So whoever sneezes first loses.
It loses.
Like we're both sitting there, we're both talking. We're like, oh God. Like,
I don't know what it is. I've been sneezing a lot lately. It's crazy.
Yeah, me too. But I think we can, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see if we can power through. I mean, you know, life is tough. Sometimes you have to fight a sneeze, I guess.
The other thing I remember is how that outfit I was wearing was so. You got to be really thin to wear that outfit. I was just, there's nowhere to hide.
I did notice there was extremely high waisted.
Super high waisted, and then not the easiest thing to to go around in. There was that one part where I kind of pulled my sleeves down because everybody had their hands protected when going through the fiery tunnel, and. I was thinking to myself, I wonder how I was able to get enough slack to pull those sleeves down because that thing looked like it was just barely fitting on me. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. You know, there are some pretty iconic Jake Sisko outfits. That one I didn't really remember. You know, I kind of was looking, I was like, wow, it's just like a big, long brown onesie. And it makes you look like you're all legs. All legs, baby.
Yeah, I think that one didn't last too long. That was the spurt. This is the part in the episodes where I start really shooting up. So they can only make adjustments so much.
Yeah. Good old Garrett could have hooked that up.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I was watching this episode, the thing that I thought of the first thought that came to my head was the password protection that's on your phones now, which didn't exist. Just for everybody out there, there were no cell phones and there were no passwords on cell phones when we recorded this episode. But the way that the computer was, reacting to them typing into the database and then say, okay, now you're level 1, level 2. Reminded me of how an iPhone locks when you try to enter the wrong password. First it locks for like 1 minute, then it's like 10 minutes. Next thing you know, it's got a 1 month lock on it.
Right. And you know what it reminded me of similarly was that when they were asking Garrick to do things, I think it might have been Ducat, but I think it was Garrick. And he said, they're like, hey, can you do this? He's like, I'm trying, but every step of the way, it's having me prove that I'm me or prove who I am. And I was like, that's just like when you're trying to get into your bank online or you're trying to do something online. And it's like, what was your first grade teacher? What was your favorite band's name in high school? What street did you live on? Like, that's what it's doing all that stuff before we actually had those security codes and checks.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking that the technology actually emerged after these concepts were put forth, and just interesting to see how the world works and how things play out. So
totally. And I just love the idea of Garrett going like, my first grade teacher was Gull whatever,
yes,
and the street that I was born on, if you must know, was Apple Tree Lane.
My father's name is
my mother's pet's maiden name.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy how Star Trek is just so many different things that they've introduced into the popular culture, things that actually exist to this day, and that's one of them. The password protection, and these kinds of things.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, like the personal access device, the pads, or whatever, and then now we have the iPad, laptops, things like that, sliding doors, and they're even working on warp drive right now. The one that everybody wants is teleportation, right? Transporters. That's the one that'll trump them all, man. If we can get transporters, whew, that's it. We win.
Yeah, when I think of transporters, I think of the movie Spaceballs with Mel Brooks.
Why didn't anybody tell me my ass was
so big? So don't be the first guy on the transporter machine.
No. Don't be the first.
Let
other people test it out.
Yeah. There were some NAMs in this one. I thought you were going to hit us up with them. Did you notice any of the NAMs?
No, I got a rule of acquisition, but I missed the names. Let's hear them.
Well, the Nams came in at the end when.
Oh yes, you're right. Grand Negus Zek,
Right.
and Rom. You're right. I actually put that. That was the funniest thing where he goes. He says, you know, Quark reads the line about what Odo evaluated him as. He says, a self-important con artist who's nowhere near as clever as he thinks he is. He goes, 2 hours ago, you said I was the most devious Ferengi you ever met. And he's like, oh, I was trying to be nice. We thought you were going to die.
I thought we were going to die, yeah.
And he's like, well, who's more devious than I am? He goes, Brand Negus. And he says some other guy. He's like, name one you actually know. He goes, your brother Rom.
Rom?
I know. So rude. But you're right. Absolutely Nams for Rom and Zek. But the others, what was the cousin's name? Cousin Gyla.
Yeah, Gyla, and the one who owns the moon.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
Gyla. Yeah.
So they were just naming a bunch of them, and I thought it was funny because actually I really enjoyed that little interplay with them at the end.
Me too, more than I expected. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great little walk away, especially with Odo saying, "Yeah, well, that's when I thought we were going to die." So that's why I was being nice to you.
There was a lot of good humor in there, and I'll put that as number 2 best humor of the episode. Number 1, I thought, although it was less laugh out loud funny, but it was just more like, for me, it was funny to imagine the writer's room when they came up with this, was when Dukat shows up and he's talking all that shit to everybody. He's like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so proud, and boy, you guys sure need me, and we're going to have a permanent Cardassian presence, and I call all the shots. And he says, all right, transport me out. And then the program says, oh, you know, attention, Gul Dukat. If you are seeing this, it's because you are trying to flee the situation.
And abandon your duties.
And so it like flips around on him. And I thought, I can only imagine how fun it was in that writer's room when they're figuring this out. And they're like, how do we get Gul Dukat to say, you know, what's the twist? And somebody comes up with the idea of he tries to leave, and then his higher up had a program similar to his own that said, you're not going anywhere. And I just imagine everybody in the room going, oh my God, that's perfect. That's hilarious. You know, go Dukat, transport. Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. I thought it was a great twist, but I thought you were going to say the number 1 on the comedy was the interplay between Garrick and Gul Dukat, because I enjoyed that as much as anything else. Because they just one up each other on these.
How about when Garrick cock blocks Dukat, dude? when
oh yeah,
he's like trying to impress Major Carey. He's like, well, it shouldn't be a problem for a keen Cardassian mind such as myself, like that. And Garrick's like, dude, it's not gonna work. Okay,
stop it. Stop it. She's not interested in you.
It would have been great if Bashir chimed in with a line, was like, dude, you're barking up the wrong tree, man.
Yeah, you know what? I just loved it because he said, oh, yeah, Garrick groveling in the corner. Oh, worth the trip already. And I love that. I mean, he's such a menacing guy in his performance as Gul Dukat. He's so great. And then Garrick holds his own so well. And he says to him, you've always been short-sighted, just like your father.
Yeah. Because in Cardassia, dad jokes are like mom jokes to
right.
Oh, he's talking about your dad.
Oh, your daddy. He says your daddy is short-sighted.
What'd you say? Who's short-sighted?
My dad ain't short-sighted. He's got long sight. Oh man!
Man. Yeah, Cardassians.
Just the interplay. But I love the way they go back and forth at each other and just try to rip each other a new one. So I just thought it was very special.
I agree. I really like that a lot, and you're right. That's definitely up there. And then they start then there was a little exposition we were given in their little jarring way. It's like, his only flaw was trusting you. He goes, funny, at his trial, your father said his biggest flaw was that his ambition outweighed his patriotism. It's kind of like they're giving us also a few little nuggets for us to go like, whoa, he knew his dad, and what was this and what was that, and all stuff that we're hoping to hear more about.
Yeah. I should have had you executed. You tried. You don't remember?
Who do you think delivers their lines better out of those two?
I don't know. They're on par with each other. I can't really. It's hard to say. Because I wrote down lines from both of them. Dukat says at one point to Kira, "You'll find I don't appreciate being talked to in that tone."
So good.
While lasers are like flying across the room, like, and he's so cavalier and casual, like, so you guys hiding from the lasers, huh?
And I always like to imagine what the line is like on the page. To picture what was the writer and what was the actor. And the lines for him are beautiful and amazing. But the actor does bring so much to it. Like when, for example, when he says, "You can all rise now, you're safe for the moment," right? Mm-hmm. That's a good line. You're all safe. You can all rise now, you're safe for the moment. But the way he delivers it is like a teacher talking to kindergartners. You know what I mean? Like he's like, "You can all rise now, you're safe for the moment." Like he's so like, "Oh, I care about the well-being of these little idiots,"
and the other little things that he does, which you don't know if it's on the page or not. I liked when he went into Sisko's office and flicked the baseball off the table. I don't know if that's written or not, but it played well in the scene. It was like, there's a new boss, I'm in charge. And, it's a subtle thing, but it just goes to like how menacing and what a control freak Dukat is.
Let's ask Ira at some point. My bet is that it was on the page. That's my guess. That's my instinct there. I'm not, obviously not sure. Or maybe the director. That's something a director might suggest too. He might be like, why don't you sit here? Yeah, sit in Sisko's seat. Yeah, and then, it could be a director's suggestion. Yeah.
But he just plays it so well. He just kind of lurks when he's behind Kira, the way he's like over her shoulder hovering, in this kind of perverted way. There's just so many things about him that says creep, 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 but it's good for television and it's good for the interplay.
While we're on that subject, I was trying to remember, there was one other thing about exactly the point you're making, where the actor added something, not just a good delivery, but there was a choice that he made. And I bet it was the actor. This one, I think it was the actor, is when he says, when he first shows up and he says, "I must admit, it piqued my curiosity when he saw like the distress call from himself." And he says, well, you are in trouble. Well, all I have to do is enter my command code and shut down the program. But he added a clap in there where he goes, "All I have to do is enter my command code and shut down the program." Like he added this little, and I was like, I think that's an actor choice. And it was so good. It's so like I'm so cool and you guys are so pathetic, Love it.
Yes. And in the same vein as what you just said, because, it just brought up another moment in that episode. Right. At the end where Sisko takes out the isolinear chips from all of the computers and he figures out how to neutralize the whole thing. Right. He does he leans against the wall, slides down, and he does like something with his hands, like, "Yeah, that's it, I got it."
I know that. Yeah, I looked at it twice because I noticed the same thing. He had the two things and he was holding them both differently, and he went, he like cheers them. He went clink, like these. He went clink, and then he went shh, and he like pointed at the thing like, "I got you."
Got you, right. And there's no way they wrote that. There's no way that they wrote that.
Totally agree. Absolutely. That was, at most, maybe the director said something like, "Give it like a sigh of relief," or "give me something," and to where it was up to him what he wanted to put together. And it was a double move. It was like a chink, chink, "I got you." And then it was like,
and then, yep. He did a little cheers to himself. And it was great because it was like, figured it out. So like little things like that, I think, are just ways in which the actors, throw a little bit extra into the performance, something that's not on the page, that just shows that they understand what's going on, in the moment of the story, in the script, and they just put these little emphases on these little punctuations that accentuate the story, and I think it's great.
So real quick, sorry to interrupt. We do have to run to our break, but when we get back, first we'll hit those trivioids that didn't make the cut, and secondly, that scene that you just mentioned made me think of an old song from the 90s. And we'll say what that is right after the break on The Seventh Rule. Attention, Bajoran workers. Welcome back to The Seventh Rule. With Cirroc Lofton, by the way. So these didn't make the cut. Ducat orders a red leaf tea, which I thought was quaint.
Yeah.
He says, I think it's time to reestablish a permanent Cardassian presence aboard this station. Felt like that was too wordy, though. Another one I really liked was, Garrick can tell you exactly what's going on, but can't do anything about it. That's what he says. Jake can't believe how many subroutines it took just to run this ore processor.
Yeah, that was the first line on there.
Yeah, that was a toughie. It was the end of this long line, too. Cardassians never bothered to give them the emergency code. Quark has Cardassian security codes 1 through 7. Odo only has levels 1 through 6. The only place in the galaxy that still recognizes Garrick's access code is a Bajoran space station. That's all of them. And then, of course, the one where do not believe anything Garrick says about my posturing to impress Major Kira. He's all
so I wrote 3 down, too, because this is your thing, and it's actually fun to try to guess what you're going to say.
This one was a little tougher because I went with a Ducat spin, but yeah, I'd love to hear him.
Yeah, so mine was Gul Dukat's voice annoys Sisko.
Oh, yes. That was such a good line. He says, I never realized I never knew how annoying this man's voice was.
Yeah, and I like that line. I really like that line.
Yeah. And we believe him.
Yeah. Quark has level 7 clearance, which I think is one of yours.
Nailed it, yeah.
And the other one I had was Jadzia has hot hands.
That's true. I wish I had thought of that one, actually. That's
a good one. I'll be here all day, ladies and gentlemen.
Jadzia's got some hot hands.
You got some hot hands.
Okay, so 90s song. This is what I was thinking, because this was recorded in the 90s. This was probably like 94, right? End of 94. Or maybe it was aired in 94, so that means it was shot, maybe beginning in 94, end of 93, around there. And right around that time, maybe a year or two, right around that year, there was a song that came out, and it reminded me of when Sisko did that little action at the end when he saves the day. He goes like, clink. He's like, and when he did that move, the song that popped in my head was Cypress Hill's "We Ain't Going Out Like That." Because he's like, we didn't come this far to be taken down by some defensive mechanism on some old ore processing station. No, we ain't going out.
No, we ain't going out like that.
Anyway, so that was the song. So those of you that guessed Cypress Hill's "We Ain't Going Out Like That."
Oh, everybody. You know what? 90% of the people voted that. I'm just looking here at the numbers.
So
no,
obvious,
I don't think anybody thought of that except for you. Right? We ain't going out. But I did think of the red leaf tea. You brought up the red leaf tea, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit briefly, but
I do too, because I had to rewind. I was like, did he say red leaf tea? What does that mean? What's the significance there?
Right. So what is that? I mean, tea is a big thing here in the Star Trek universe, whether it's Earl Grey or English breakfast. So let's talk about the tea.
I don't know, but the reason I went back to hear it again was because I was wondering. I was like, Ducat drinks red leaf tea? I don't remember that, and it doesn't sound like something he would drink. I guess he's very refined. He's not like, a glass of Canar. He didn't say some Ractigino. He just wants something sophisticated.
Yeah, and it made me think of Picard and his passion for being a tea connoisseur.
Yeah. Now, let us know in the comments below if Ducat mentions red leaf tea at all. I don't think he has yet, but maybe he will again later.
Oh, we did get the 75th rule of acquisition, Ryan. You want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, if I wrote it down. No,
I know you did.
Of course. I'm a nerd. Of course I did. Let's see. Where is it? There it is. Home is where the heart is, but the stars are made of latinum. 75th rule of acquisition.
Exactly. And, you know, it's funny because I think that if Quark were to write a biography, the title would be The Most Devious.
That's another good one. I want to hear in the comments, the YouTube comments below, if Quark were to write an autobiography, what would it be called? That's an amazing question. That's a great one.
Yeah, we have to save that for one of our roundtables.
Or the free-for-all next.
Or the free-for-all next, yes. Well,
stay tuned for that. There we go. You just did the work for me.
There we go. A little plug.
I'm off the hook already. Good. We got one. We got a good question.
And there was also a little play in with Garak and Bashir in this episode where, you know, Bashir was smiling over the back of the shoulder. Kind of just rekindling the things that we already know, which is they have this kind of little bubbling friendship that's it's unusual to say the least. But I like when he says nothing is all we can do. Yeah.
You know, when you say bubbling friendship, the first thing I thought was how we were talking about like last week or the week before, which is when Odo gets a little excited, he starts to bubble.
Yeah.
I wish we could.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, here comes Major Kira. I hope she doesn't notice my bubble.
She's literally making my blood boil, and I don't have blood.
I'm bubbling again. How embarrassing.
How bubbling.
Anyway. So,
but no, there was also one other thing I wanted to bring up. One is it's another thing that we're talking about as far as what's on the page written by the writers. You know, what did the directors bring, and then what did the actors bring? And you can always kind of differentiate these kinds of things sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. But there was a moment where Gul Dukat is in ops, and he's giving his security code to try to override the system. And he says, access code 1359. And it made me, the thing that I really liked about it was Garak's response, because they cut to Garak's face while Dukat was giving his code. And you could see Garak thinking to himself, so that's what his code is.
Yeah, or like, why didn't I guess that? And, and the way Dukat delivered it was at the very end, he said green. You know, he's like, Dukat 5113, green. Like, and he's like, green, I should have known. Green of course.
And just that little, there were no words exchanged. Garak didn't say anything. But you could see his eyes as he was, you know, hearing the password for the first time. Like, this is interesting information to know what he would pick as his password.
Yeah, such good stuff there with those guys. Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good. Really, really good stuff.
As we both just take a break and like enjoy that thought.
Let's
just sit and think about that for a second. Let that marinade.
And there's another way that Dukat likes to kind of like really play with Garak and make him feel demeaned. He calls him a tailor. The way he calls him a tailor, he stretches the word out. You know, what do you want, tailor?
Yeah.
It's like,
a tailor. You know, there was another while we're on the subject of labeling. I had forgotten that shapeshifter is a derogatory term, but for some reason changeling is not. I'm like, how did they remember? Those are two different ways of saying the exact same thing, you know, because Quark says to Odo, he's like, you're a shapeshifter. Excuse me, a changeling. And I'm like, they sound like the same. It's the same exact word to me, you know? Like if he said, if he said, "You're a gooey mess," I mean, sorry, a changeling, I'd be like, oh, I can understand why that one is rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have they ever gone into why the word shapeshifter would be derogatory?
Well, they did a little bit, if you'll recall, when he first comes to his home planet, Odo does, and she says the solids used to call us they used to call us changelings as the derogatory term, but then they used it as their own word, as we discussed before.
Right.
But then, so the one that was derogatory is now the right way to call it, I think. And then shapeshifter is neither here nor there. I'm not really 100% sure why shapeshifter is bad. Maybe just because he's just like, well, my people call themselves changelings. You'll call me changeling and nothing else. Maybe it's something like that, where it's like, this is what we're called. Don't call me anything else.
Right. I thought there was a lot of good interplay between Quark and Odo. I mean, as there always is, specifically where, Quark is complaining. He's like, oh, now I'm stuck here with you. And Odo replies like, no, I'm stuck here with you, which is far worse.
Yeah. Even though we knew that line was coming, right? Of course, when he says, no, we see it come, but then we're like, oh, good. I want to hear how he delivers this.
How he delivers it. And the other thing I really enjoyed was Quark. It seemed like he was, leveling praises on Odo when he says, you're an honorable man and you're such a good person. I know why they didn't trust you with the password. You're a good guy, man.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was the moment where he was like trying to lift him up, the same way Odo was trying to call him the most devious Ferengi.
You're right.
But Quark instantly flips from praises, you're an honorable man, and now your integrity is going to get us both.
Yeah, your stupid integrity, you sucker.
You see, this is the reason why you should be more of an ass or more of a devious person, right?
Yeah.
So I just like the way he flipped that. And Jake actually takes a stand here in this episode. We didn't get into it too much, but there's a moment where Jake looks over at his dad and he's like, I'm going with you.
Right, that's right.
And I think that was a real first stand where you see Jake is like standing up to his dad, like, you're not going to override this decision. I
think we saw one before this.
Which one? With the girlfriend?
Yeah, but that wasn't. I don't think that was his brain doing the talking. So this was the first time. This was the first time that his brain was doing the talking.
Yeah, this was the first time, and he even said it. He's like, "There's no way I'm going to make it back that far. Let me go with you guys."
Right. He was being reasonable. Yeah.
And I really liked one thing. There's a moment in this episode which I really like, where Jake tells O'Brien after he saves his life, if you don't tell him, I won't.
Right.
And I like that moment because he didn't want to be glorified in this heroic manner. He wasn't looking for any kind of, praise or acknowledgement of saving O'Brien's life or potentially saving his life. He was like, let's just keep this between me and you,
Well, also, he might have a little bit of fear of the wrath from Daddy Sisko.
Yeah, I'm sure that was the biggest reason. He was worried about that. But, he did save O'Brien's life at least saved him from being in worse condition. Because I know you can't sit there and breathe all that smoke.
It also alleviates any guilt on O'Brien's part, because O'Brien's like, hey, you weren't supposed to do that. So O'Brien doesn't also doesn't want to be looked at like, well, why did you shouldn't have let him come save you. You should have told him not to. It might alleviate whatever pressure would befall on him there. Undo, of course, but he's just like, I don't know if you should have done that, kid.
Yeah, and there's also another moment in this in that episode where Sisko is caught in between having to go back and save O'Brien in that tunnel, or move forward and try to disarm the self-destruct mechanism.
Right.
And it's a subtle moment. It's only a one or two beats on the screen, but you see that he has to make that decision, like leave this guy behind to die and save everybody else. or go back and save him. And he chose the needs of the many, right?
Right.
So I just like those little things. It's very small, but I just like those kinds of things because it shows character. It shows the kinds of things, decision making that leaders have to make under crucial times, right?
Right. And when I saw that moment, because he doesn't say a word. He looks, it's all in the acting. He takes a moment, he takes a beat, and they pretty much, that line is not said, it's acted. That conflict. And I'll bet you, because I did think of this while I watched it, I'll bet you the writers were like, so then, O'Brien goes down and they're like, but how do we convince the viewers that Sisko wouldn't go back and save him like he maybe normally would? And they say, well, let's put in a line before they go in where Sisko says, hey, if one of us gets hurt, and then O'Brien goes, yeah, I know, don't help the other person, just continue on. He says, yes. And now we know why they added that line. So I'll bet you they went back and added that line. They're like, well, we got to add that line before they go in then, so it's explained. And so then when Sisko looks back, he goes, no, I made the decision. This is exactly what I prepped us for.
Yeah. And I don't know if they added that line afterwards or what point the writers added that, but it definitely was a disclaimer for what is about to happen, right?
Totally.
But I liked it. Though now, as we're talking about it, it made me think that the Sisko scene where he's actually celebrating by cheersing the Icelandic chips might not have been the most appropriate thing, because I missed whether he checked on O'Brien or not to see if he was okay after he did that.
Oh shit, you're right. No,
right?
Wait, no.
Did he check on him with his comm badge and say, O'Brien, Sisko O'Brien, you okay?
I think so. I didn't.
Otherwise,
put it in my notes.
otherwise he's burning. He's burning inside of that little.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's like, yes, I did it. Oh wait, are my son and friend alive? Wait, let me check on that first.
Exactly. Is O'Brien still sitting in a smoky, burning out conduit?
Yeah, you're right. I'd have to check that again, because then it's like
it would be a little bit weird. I mean, it would be like, hey, Sisko to O'Brien, are you okay? Something like that. And then O'Brien says, yes, I'm fine. And then he would say, okay. Yeah. And then he would slump against the wall and cheers.
Because otherwise, what if he goes like chink, and he goes like this and everything's cool. And he goes, oh, shoot, O'Brien's still. O'Brien, are you? Sorry.
Oh, man.
You look gross right now. I don't want to touch that.
And then yells at Jake for not doing anything about it. Why didn't you save him?
You told me, Dad.
You could stay right here. No, but I like the twist in this episode. There were a lot of them. Where the mechanism kept, well, I'll be back in 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and then he's not able to come back. He's stuck there too. And just a bunch of little twists here and there. And I thought it played well. And the episode was interesting to me. It was like one of those all enclosed in itself episode where
bottled episode.
It's a bottled episode, yeah.
But still, it gave us a little bit of serialized depth to the characters. We learned more about Ducat. We learned more about Garrick and their relationship together. We learned more about Jake, being an apprentice, to Chief O'Brien. We learned that Bashir has some pants that need to be picked up from Garrick. We're altered.
Yeah, the most random line, like in the middle of the crisis moment.
He's like, by the way, your pants need to be altered. Your pants that were altered are ready to be picked up.
They're ready for pickup. So I thought that was funny. And then there's a line that I would personally use and steal it and use it at some point or another, but it's Jake Sisko to anyone who can hear me. That was the line that I had where, hitting my comm badge, but that's basically what this show is about. Jake Sisko to anyone who can hear me.
So that's going to be Jake Sisko's autobiography, right?
Yes. It's to anyone who can hear me.
To anybody who can hear me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a fun one though. The autobiography title.
The autobiography title. Yeah. Tools too. If I just had my tools.
He's like, he breaks off a piece and he goes, tools.
Tools. I wanted to ask you because wasn't there a episode called Wharf 359 or something like that?
The Battle of Wolf 359. Yeah.
Okay, so it is an episode called Wolf 359.
I don't know if there's an episode,
or is it just
that? But it is the name of this big battle where Jake lost his mother. The one at the very beginning of the first episode, Emissary, that's what we're seeing. And the Battle of Wolf 359 initially took place on the Next Generation. It was with Picard when he became a Borg. And then we have this big old battle with the Borg to save Picard. So that's a big Next Generation storyline. It was a well-established battle. And then at the beginning of Deep Space Nine, they say, oh, and here's another little piece, is in that battle, Captain Sisko lost his wife and Jake Sisko lost his mom. And that was that big battle that was going on at the very beginning.
Right. And the reason I brought it up is because Garrick's access code was 1359. And it just the 359 in repetition just made me think of this battle. Right. And I thought, where have I was like, where have I heard 359 in that same order, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
So they recycled the 359 for Garrick's password. Just a little shot out there.
Or maybe Garrick was just like, ooh, I like that battle. A lot of people died there. That was a fun one. That one was good.
Let me make that my password.
Yeah, let me immortalize that number.
Exactly. There must be something extra behind that, Of course, he takes a shot at Sisko with the Rock the Genos.
A shot of Rock the Geno.
Yeah.
So here's something we haven't done in a while. We've got a few minutes left. Was there a Keiko and Ops moment? Remember in that first season where Keiko just appears in Ops for some weird reason. We don't know why. We don't know where. Was there a weird or random moment in this episode that we didn't expect? Because I couldn't think of one.
Well, I didn't expect Garrick to show up in Ops.
But it made sense
but then he explained away why he was able to do that. So that made, it made more sense after he explained it. But when he showed up, I was like, what the hell was he doing here? No, I'm not necessarily convinced that there was just a random moment that didn't fit.
I agree. I think it was a well-written episode where everything fit neatly together. It was tight. It was clear. It was 3 storylines within the same plot, basically, the you and your dad and O'Brien here, and then Quark and Odo as the Laurel and Hardy side, and then the people in Ops, which ended up being a really fun crew too. And then just kind of how it all works together. I thought it was perfect.
It does. And one of the things that stood out to me is one of the things that Star Trek is very good at portraying, and that is problem solving. A lot of Star Trek is problem solving, right? We need to turn down the phasers here. We need to reroute power. We need to find a way to blow this thing up. Let's use the iron ore. Let's do this. It's always it's like MacGyver in space, right? There's always how do we figure out how to get the shields down and this and that, and we need more power. I'm trying to give you more power. It's always, what is the problem and how do we solve it? Right.
There's always a way. There's always a way to solve the problem. Now, usually the thing that they do is recalibrate something. That is, Next Generation, they're always, what about if we recalibrate the power couplings? It's always, everything's recalibrate. Or reverse the polarity. They love that one too.
Right. And in this one, it was a lot of, rerouting power, overriding this, burning out the system, overpowering the power grid.
Command codes.
Command codes. So, but it still comes down to problem solving. And, it's like, no, you're an idiot. That won't work, dummy. We should be doing this. And no, that's not it. You should do it like this. And what if and then there's always a way. And then I think there was a moment where Gul Dukat looks over and says, well, that was very smart to Kira, something like that. That was a very good idea.
It's not going to work, Dukat. Major, I would never.
No, you're very good with that one. Yes.
Well, he's my idol. No big deal.
Well, he's fantastic. I really love the way he plays that character. It doesn't get any better than that. And I really like that line where Sisko's like, "God, that guy's voice is so annoying."
yeah, that was great. That was solid. So we only have a minute left here before we go. Final thing is, what do you think this was rated on IMDb?
I'm glad you asked that question because I was hoping you would. And because I thought this was a very good episode, I'm going to say it had to be about a 7.7 and 7.8 in that range. Wasn't the best, but it was about that to me.
8.0 is what they got. 8.0. This is one of those episodes where you're surprised that it's as good as it is. Because if somebody tells you, oh, it's an episode where the ship's defense systems lock them in, you're like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like a very boring episode. But they really executed very well with all the twists and turns and characters and stuff.
I think so too. I really enjoyed, and the thing that really got to me is Ducat showing up. Like, there was no point where I was thinking, oh, well, Ducat's going to show up and save the day or try to be a part of this.
But but their explanation made sense. Where he's like, I got a distress call from me. You can imagine how piqued my interest was. Yes.
And so, I think he carries the episode. You have to give him the credit. The Ducat carries a lot of this episode, makes it interesting, makes it fun. And then it's just like, it's just one of those encapsulated episodes. It's you don't really have to, it fits within the storylines. It fits within the place where we are, but it doesn't have to, it sits alone. It's a standalone. And I enjoyed it.
Right. Well, I think we're going to hit that free-for-all now, and you've done all the work and gotten us a really good question for that one, so I'm excited to hear what that's going to be like. Big special thanks to Yvette Blackmon, Rex Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, and Marie Segal, Carmen Shamwell, Rob Hoffman, and PJ Tomas. We're going to see you right on the other side on the free-for-all. Thanks very much. Attention, Bajoran workers. We have returned. Your Cardassian overlords are Homer Frizzell, Kat R. King, Malissa Longo, Anne-Marie Segal, Heather Jordan, Rex A. Wood, and Gull Cirroc.
Oh yes,
I
like that one. Gull Cirroc.
Yeah, it's hard to hang on to that character for 30 seconds.
It's not easy there.
Plus, it's kind of low energy. So, welcome back. This is the Free for All, guys. Let's get started very quickly. Cirroc came up with a really good question for today's Free for All. So
he's like, "No, I didn't."
That's what Ryan says.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You want to hit us with it?
No, I'd like you to do it. I already did all the hard work.
Yeah, you did the heavy lifting. All right. So Cirroc's idea was, if Quark were to write an autobiography, what would its title be? Oh, Rex knows. Rex just hit the button. He went like this. He went like this, and he went.
Yes.
All right.
I am. Let me see if I can state it right. I am Ferengi for the. God, I am Ferengi for. Now I can't even get it out.
Ferengi.
That's a long title.
That I am Ferengi, something like that. I had a whole Shakespeare moment there, and then it just went right over. Therefore I am Ferengi. I am, therefore I am Ferengi. Something like that.
Oh, I think, therefore I am Ferengi.
Yeah, I think I make money, therefore I am Ferengi.
I scheme.
Scheme's a good one.
Yeah, I scheme. There we go. Thank you, Kat. Knew I could depend on you to just figure that out.
Like pulling teeth. We'll get it.
This is the warm up round.
Let it out.
What about you, Melissa? Do you have an idea of what Quark's autobiography would be called?
Latinum for my tingling lobes.
Whoa, that's a
You
romance
just short it
novel.
to
Autobiography,
Latinum lobes.
Melissa.
Not a bedroom novel.
Latinum lobes, just short it to that.
Latinum lobes.
Latinum lobes. Lobes of Latinum.
Nice.
Tingling lobes.
And Marie, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, I was
You gonna
gonna
come
say
up with a
something like
porno
that,
name
too.
too, or?
I was gonna say like lobes for Latinum, but I just can't imagine that title hasn't been taken. So I don't really know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Probably something capitalizing on the fact that he was like a Negus one week, or that he's the brother of the Negus. But I haven't quite worked it out yet.
The artist formerly known as Negus.
Ferengi, formerly known as Negus. There you go.
This man, formerly known as the Negus.
Yeah, Ferengi, formerly known
The
as.
Ferengi. Yeah.
Boy, I don't know about that.
A week as a Negus.
What about you, Heather?
I was thinking Latinum linings, like silver linings.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like it.
Good word.
Like he's finding the Latinum in everything. He's always scheming. So
I like that. Latinum linings.
Playbook.
There used to be a thing on Saturday Night Live called Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy.
Yeah.
Right.
But Jack Handy.
I remember one. He said,
You guys remember that?
the crows
Yeah.
seem to be calling his name, thought Ka.
That's where I thought the Sad Cat Diaries came from Z Frank, those videos.
I don't know that.
Jack Dad.
Oh, really?
Z Frank?
Yeah.
Z Frank.
Anyway.
Well, Kat, do you have a fun autobiographical novel title?
Getting corked.
Getting corked. I like that.
okay, so this is an adjective in this sentence,
Cork.
and what does it mean?
Leave that to your imagination, shall I?
I've been
corked.
She went there.
It's a dirty book. It's a dirty.
Yeah, it's a.
Well, isn't he the one
Cork.
that he introduced alternative entertainment to the holodeck? Isn't he the one? So
Or cork you.
Cork you.
Cork you.
Oh, I went to that
You
college.
too.
Yeah.
That House of Cork episode, man. I want something related to the Klingons in his autobiography, like that one time, you know.
Mm.
Well, Homer, we set the bar low for you. What do you think?
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
It goes up.
Let's see. It's going to be my time on Terek Nor / Deep Space Nine. I followed the Gold Press Latinum Road.
Wow.
he just
The Latin.
Wow.
Wait,
put
the
it all out there.
road less
Yeah.
traveled.
The Latin road.
Sort of
Yeah,
a
the
takeoff
Latinum
on
Road
Wizard of
does
Oz.
Yeah.
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 Follow the Latinum Road. Follow the Latinum
Gold,
Road.
gold
follow the
pressed
Latinum Road.
Latinum Road.
Gold press.
There you go.
Don't forget that part.
Yeah, the gold
Yeah,
pressed.
you need every word.
Yeah, it might be hard. for
He's
the
getting-
munchkins to think.
He's
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
paid by the word.
The word.
Also,
Yeah.
all these answers are right because there'll probably be 8 volumes. You can sell it in multiple.
Yes.
There we go.
Very
Yes.
true. Very
And
true.
footnotes count.
Mhm.
Cirroc, did you have one? I know we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Mine is a play off the Tiger King. It's the Dabo King.
Okay.
So who would be Carol?
Oh my God. They're going to
Obviously, Toto.
I saw some
Soda.
hands go
Yeah.
up.
Watch spoilers, please.
Oh.
Okay, no
Spoilers.
spoilers.
You haven't seen it yet? It's not.
There's gonna be Korchiyama
I have no
stuff.
intention of seeing.
Yeah.
I watched one
Okay.
episode just to figure out what the hype was about, and never went back.
I know
So.
there's a tiger and a guy with a bad haircut. You go ahead and
Very
spoil it. It's
scary.
fine.
There's a lot of guys.
Several
with
bad
Wow.
haircuts.
There's a
I
lot
think
of
it's
guys
worse
with
than
bad
that.
haircuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Pinky.
but Melissa does an amazing Carol voice.
Oh,
Yes, she
Carol
does.
Baskin.
Oh, let's hear
wanna hear
that.
it.
Let's hear
Let's see
that.
Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin, where are you?
on that quarantine video.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We're all listening for it. We're ready for
All
it.
Come on.
ears.
Like I can't do it on the
Keeping our ears
spot.
open. You know?
Yeah.
I haven't practiced.
Somebody's heard it.
It's super spot
Isn't
on.
that one of those impressions you're supposed to have in your back pocket as an actor, like at all times? A couple of impressions, a couple jokes, a couple monologues. You know.
I know I do accents, and people are always, because I spent the first 10 years of my life in England, and I went to a British school, so at school, and I lived on the
Oh.
Air Force Base.
Right?
So at school I would speak with a British accent, and then at home I would speak with an American accent because it was American Air Force Base.
Right.
So yeah.
Can we hear you speak in a British accent?
Well, I was just about to say, people want you to pull out your British accent.
Yeah.
That you have.
You know what?
And Melissa, do you find that you start to imitate accents like I do? Because I was in Scotland when I was little, and so I came over to America with a Scottish accent,
Mhm.
and ever since, anywhere I go, there's an accent, I start copying people, but I don't mean it. I don't consciously do it. I just start
Yeah.
copying
Yeah, man, that
accents.
happens a lot.
Because you got it as a kid, you kind of have an ear for accents. So yeah.
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 Yeah. And living in the South part of the time, so I could do the Southern, and then living in New York, and lots of accents. And I watch a lot of British television, so when I'm watching British television,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you want to know my favorite word that they say?
Yeah. You're just gonna want to know my favorite word?
No,
I
it's
have a
just
favorite-
just the way it's pronounced is so fun to me. It's aluminium.
Aluminum.
Oh yeah.
I
that's
just
weird.
find that fun. Just fun.
That's the word.
Me too.
See? Oh, Cirroc laughed. I can't.
He's right there. He's like, I gotta go, man.
I gotta go.
I don't know what happened. I thought it was Heather's thing going off, and then it was actually mine.
Aluminium.
You know,
I was laughing at Heather.
Killed
Like
the
Heather just messed up. Her computer went dead, and it was actually mine. So. All
you know
right.
what I was thinking? What would be funnier for a Klingon, a British accent or a Southern accent?
Southern.
Oh,
accent.
Southern.
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 Yeah, 'cause
Say it now.
Kapla,
Kapla. Kapla, please. Just a little bit kapla, please. Come on over. Come on over. We're gonna get you people from the Federation. You just come on over.
It's not funny. Not really.
Homer's not.
Not
It's not funny.
impressed.
impressed.
No, I don't think it's a Southern accent on a Klingon is funny after all.
Do they
What
eat
about
grit?
what about a French accent on a Klingon?
I think that could be funny, but
Did they do that?
maybe not. Rex.
No, I'm
A
sorry.
Ret.
Is
Maybe
Homer
not.
punishing
Yeah.
Rex right
Yeah,
now?
he's
Yes, he
punishing me
did.
today. Did you see that? Rex, shut up.
He's mad at
Well,
you.
no, I didn't say that.
No, but
He said
yeah,
stop, is what he
yeah, I
said.
said stop.
Like,
For all of
sorry.
those.
Eps today would be a good day to die.
It is.
No H's, right? No, yeah, Eps. Mhm.
It's a great question. It's an evergreen question. Thank you for bringing it up, Ryan.
I don't think he appreciates the question, Ryan.
You don't like it, Homer?
I do. I think it's great. I think it's one of those ones where we could talk about it for a very, very long time.
Oh, good. So
He's gone again.
I think a Scottish accent for a Klingon might be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say it's
we're
going
ready
to
to
be
hear it.
funny.
Go ahead.
No, I don't
Oh,
have one.
geez.
No.
Yeah.
But didn't O'Brien kind of have an Irish Klingon.
Well, yeah, it's
Good
very
call.
similar.
Yeah,
So,
good call. I don't know. I just like picturing different guys with different accents, or maybe like
Yeah, it's hot.
oh.
How much time do you spend doing this?
Not maybe like an hour or two a day. Like all the time.
I'm just loving Homer's expressions today. I really am.
He has expressions?
The best.
Yeah, he's got
Eyes. His eyes.
Yeah, the eyes. The eyes.
it's just dead
His eyes
inside.
have it.
I'm hoping iPhone comes back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have
Cirroc's
Cirroc's hiding
having
out.
Yeah, where'd he go?
We have to play Where's Cirroc? Where's
Yeah,
Waldo?
where's the rock?
There he is. Oh,
Not-
jeez. I can't ask my question because he's gone. So
Was your question Cirroc? Oh, Kitty. Was your question
yes,
Cirroc
that's
centric?
exactly the question.
This whole segment is downgrading very quickly.
Are you? No way.
Take
Imagine.
Maybe some more of your French Klingons.
no.
Here's a question for Melissa.
Huh?
Did you have trouble with American slang when you came back over or
good
came
one.
here? I don't know. Were you born there or born here?
No, I was born in the States, in South
Oh.
Carolina, and then moved before I was a year old.
Because I came back when I was 6 going on 7, and I just had a hard time with the slang. Just like it could not get what the slang was over here for like a good year.
Not
There's
that
a new one. People are saying Stan now.
Yeah.
Stan.
That means like you want it, like you stand for it, like you're rooting for it.
Yeah.
That's good. That goes back to the Eminem song that was about the rapper Eminem.
Right. That's what I read. Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yo, biggest fan, Stan. This is Stan. That's what he said. This is
I didn't
Stan.
understand. I didn't
Well-
understand the jokes or the humor or the act. Most people couldn't understand me, which is why I started changing the way I spoke.
So Heather, you had a question for Cirroc?
I
He's
do.
back.
It's just a silly kind of thing. When I was watching the episode, I was thinking in my head.
Oh, that's where I
when-
think too.
Yeah. No. Some people
That's where I
can't think in
think
their
too.
head. Just fact. Some people can't.
Honest.
When Cirroc or when Jake went in that like tube, the shaft, and then he went like all in there, I was thinking like it's got to be voiceover at that point, and it's just like I was just wondering if he remembers doing that because he's like, "Ow, there's something I hit my head on," and then he's like crawling through it and clang, and I just was wondering if you remember.
It's a very
Doing the
astute
voiceover.
question. We kind of covered that, right, Cirroc?
We did cover it, but I'm happy to
Oh, I
answer
wasn't
it.
here.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's you're right on the mark with it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things I remember about the episode was climbing through that little tiny tunnel, a little conduit. And I was telling Ryan earlier that Colin
just
told me that
end?
there were a bunch of spiders in there.
Oh no.
And
Oh, right in the middle.
he freaked me out.
Freak me out. Keep
It's not
going.
me this time.
So I'll finish the story. Colin told him that there were a bunch of spiders in there to make him extra scared because he says he hates spiders and he's very claustrophobic.
Was it really like a tube, or do you think it just like kind of ended and then he climbed out?
I mean, they had real tubes and stuff, but I don't know how open-ended they were or how long they were, but they had a huge set. It's just gigantic. So they could afford to actually, build something just for a couple scenes. But yeah, when Cirroc comes back, he will be able to explain to you the answer to the question about whether that was ADR, which is when they add lines or re-record lines in post.
Wait, who hates spiders?
Cirroc.
Oh, I thought you meant. call Meanie. Which was interesting because on Next Generation, he tries to like help Barkley by introducing him to his spider.
Right, and then Barkley turned into a spider.
Wondering. Yeah. No, wait.
Barkley turned into a spider in Genesis.
Oh, I forgot he was
Did
a
he?
spider.
Yeah, he like came up to the window. He's like, like that.
Oh yeah.
Remember that? He had all the eyes on his head.
Yeah.
Cat remembers.
Yeah. Wasn't Will Smith in that one too?
Will Smith?
Yeah, you know.
Didn't he play Wesley Crusher?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Brent Spiner in Independence Day.
Oh, okay. You just called me.
Oh, yes. Brent Spiner did sort of do the window thing. Yes. When he
You want
got
to talk about Melissa's t-shirt?
Okay.
the alien was like
faces.
Kat's like so far off topic. She's like, wait,
It's an Independence Day.
Welcome to the mind of someone with ADHD.
She's punking us is what she's doing.
All about it.
Huh?
Tell us all about your shirt, girl.
Oh, I did
Yes.
this. This I painted a while ago, and it's the next thing to be added to my website
Yes.
for these shirts. But
Nice.
I had done a self-portrait of one of my hands, and I titled it 99% because humans share 99.9% of their DNA with each other. And so, and I made it rainbow because, you know, 99.9%, you know, creates us all in different colors and sizes and shapes, and you know, so it's, and then somebody saw this and saw that drawing, and they're like, you should do the Live Long and Prosper. And I was like, that is so, it symbolizes exactly what I wanted to say with the original. So I did another self-portrait of my hand doing that, and then I painted it on a shirt in rainbow colors.
Can you put it on a non-white shirt?
Oh yes, this was just,
I only say that because white stains so quickly.
Yeah,
You put that on a bag as well, right?
I
Is
did
it on a
put it on
tote?
a bag. Yeah.
Muhammad's like
Because
obsessed with his bag.
Well,
Oh, really?
it's
That's
a
cool.
good, yeah. I saw it, like JG had it at Ticonderoga when I was up there in August.
Yeah.
I have to get one, you know, if you're still in business doing the bag.
Yes.
And what's the
I have
website?
both bags in the works and t-shirts, and I'm just trying to finish up the screen for it so that I don't have to paint every hand by
Yep.
hand.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Looks iPhone's coming back.
Yeah.
iPhone is back.
back.
Melissa's
I don't know
telling
what's
us about
going
her
on.
shirt.
Yeah, I love her shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we only have a few minutes left, but do you want to finish the answer about doing the ADR in the tube?
Like you
Yeah,
doing
so-
right now.
Yeah, so I did the ADR much like I'm doing my ADR now, and but you know, Colin was playing with me that episode, and he kind of pulled a prank on me and told me that he had put spiders inside of that tunnel,
Oh my gosh.
and he knew I was afraid of spiders and afraid of being claustrophobic inside of that tunnel. So I was panicking every time I had to get and crawl inside of there. But I read the lines off stage for when they were pretending like I'm inside of the tunnel, and then we did the looping afterwards.
Oh, good. You
See?
done a
You
good job
hit it well because
episode.
you're like,
I love
sure,
it.
I'll get in, and jumped right in. So you hit it well.
Yeah, I hit it well, but I hated being inside there. And it kind of brought back memories of when Avery had to be inside of that cage for that episode.
Right.
Oh,
Mhm.
paradise.
And it
Or
just
no,
so, yeah. And it just, it sucked. Like the claustrophobic of being in such a small space it was bad for me.
See, you guys, well worth the wait for that answer.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was good.
I think we all learned something today.
We
Yeah.
Oh my God, every time.
That right now, Cirroc is doing ADR in post, and we're actually just talking to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, right now we're just reading off a script. The AD is reading his lines, but by the time we play this, you guys, he will have added his voice.
And it's seamless. It's seamless.
Yeah.
You won't be able to tell.
Hit it again.
Cirroc, that's hilarious. I can't believe you just said that. Boy, oh boy. Cirroc.
It's not exactly that seamless, but.
So,
but you know, one thing I wanted to bring up really quickly.
Yeah, please.
You know, the thing that we talked about, Ryan, earlier about Star Trek and how it deals with problem solving a lot.
Yeah.
And how people in the shows work together to solve problems. And you know, that's one of the things I think what we're going through today with what we see with the protest. We see a lot of people out here who agree that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to harness this moment to solve the problems and to make the necessary changes going forward so that we can have a better coexistence with one another. And that's when I just wanted to get that in there really quickly before we leave. I think this is a really good opportunity for us because so many people are on the same page that things are not right. That we can use this opportunity to make the changes that we need. We did this in an episode in Far Beyond the Stars so many years ago, and it's just not right if we keep letting it play out over and over again.
Right. Thanks for saying
said.
that. We're saying, you guys, before we go, that it's very rare that everybody's on the same page and agrees on something. So we should have like a checklist of all the things we need to like get done. Since we're all in agreement right now, let's let's do this, this, and this. Let's pass these things and get it all done.
They need to stop putting fluff in bills. That's the problem. They're trying to pass these laws, but they're sneaking in other stuff. And instead of passing the laws that we agree are needed, they're stopping them because of the fluff.
Well, I think it's time for the AMA now.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get messages asking where you guys are.
Well, yeah, we got 1 minute.
You're late.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you real soon. Really appreciate it all. We'll see you next time on The Seventh Rule, because Anne-Marie says so.
Yeah.